Hello, friends, and welcome to the Friday Conversation. We are here today to discuss lots of things. We planned originally for it to be like an October reading wrap-up, and it's kind of evolved before we started recording to lots of other fun topics. So we're going to just kind of get into it and see what happens. Jared, will you start us off, please, sir, with an introduction?
Sure. I'm Jared. I run the Fantasy Thinker YouTube channel, and I'm also on Speculations with a couple of these guys, and do some other podcasts here on pagechewing.com as well.
Just a couple, yeah. And Dan?
I'm Dan. I am a human that has interests, but nothing published on the internet. So.
Yeah, actually you do. You are published on the internet.
Well, I guess not under my own name or under my own channel.
Right on. That's fair. And Joshua?
And I'm just a member of the Page Chewing forums that is hanging out here. Some awesome people.
I'm glad you can make it. I know everyone's, it's a weird hour for you, so thanks for taking the time to hang out.
It's only 1 a.m., it's fine.
No big deal. So I turned into a pumpkin at like 9:30. I'm gone. I'm dead. So one's like, there's no way. So cool. So let's start off with what we read this month and kind of hit on it. Who wants to be the first victim?
I can head off. I can start off. Steve, October has actually been a little bit of a slow reading month for me. I just finished this slightly horrible book called Stand on Zanzibar by John Brunner. It's a sci-fi masterwork book that we're reading this month as part of a read-along on Page Chewing. And I gotta say, I did not like this book at all. I forced myself to finish it. I didn't DNF it for the sake of the group. I took one for the team, but
you're a trooper.
but it was. It's not that he's a bad writer. It was such a scattered look at. You didn't know who the main character was until like 200 pages in, maybe, and I didn't like the style. I didn't like the structure of the book. And it was mainly a 300-page essay on overpopulation. And I found it extremely boring until like the last 100 pages. Then it got into like a little bit of spy stuff, and espionage. And that was okay, So it ended actually on a decent note. But getting there was torturous. It was tough. So I made it through that. By the end of next week, I'll be done with The Wind-Up Girl, which we're reading together.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of I'm enjoying that. It's a good experimental book. It's it's not terrible compared to what I just finished. So it's interesting. I'll give it that much, and it's unique. I think it's cool, but it's not going to be on my top 10s anytime soon. But I like it. And I read Brubaker and Phillips' Houses of the Unholy, and these guys rarely can do any wrong. They're so good at what they do, and this was a real trip down nostalgia lane for the 80s, especially if you're familiar with the Satanic Panic back then in the 80s. This covers that era very well, and it's a wild ride. So Phillips's artwork is on par as always, and outstanding. So that's pretty much what I finished so far in October. I'm in the middle of a bunch of other stuff. I'm rereading Blood and Bone by Esselmont, for the novels of the Mars and Empire. And I love that one. That's, I think, Esselmont's best book. And it's just a outstanding story in that book. So that's fun. I am about a third of the way through Alliance Pride by our friend P.L. Stewart. Having fun with that. He has a really cool world he built there, so I and a really fascinating character. So it's pretty good. It's pretty fun stuff. Yeah, and I just started Nexus by Yuval Noah Harari. The brief history. Right. Yeah, brief history of information networks from the Stone Age to AI. So okay. I got that for my birthday, and I was really looking forward to it. So just started it, so I haven't gotten that very far. But, a lot of fun stuff there.
That is a lot. I feel so inadequate.
Yeah. If you had to pick one, what's been your favorite read of the month?
The Brubaker book, by far. Like I said, it and that's a graphic novel, so that might be cheating a little bit.
A book is a book, man.
Yeah, it is. I mean, if you include rereads, Blood and Bone by far it trumps all of them easily. And I really haven't gotten that far into Nexus to really have it be this month as a favorite. But I also started American Psycho. That's right, okay. For our read along for that, and I stopped at 100 pages because I wanted to get some other stuff done. But hate the setting, hate the main characters. But the writing is good.
That's kind of the point.
Yeah, it is. It does. It definitely. Yeah, no, you're right. It was definitely written on purpose like that. So the writing is the writing's good. He definitely did what he wanted to do, and it's just when you're reading characters you really hate. It can be tough to get through it sometimes, but I'll continue that later on when we get closer to our reading discussion on that one.
Yes. I just bought that before we started recording. Dan recommended a book, The Immaculate Voice. I just bought the audiobook. So
nice.
Yeah. The paperback, $200 just doesn't sound like a great deal. So
we don't have a soft cover.
Yeah, no, it's like a used version for like $197, like $4 shipping. So it's like, okay. It's also probably a good time to mention, since you mentioned Blood and Bone, that we're starting our Malazan group read here in a few weeks. So everyone's welcome to join. We're starting with Gardens of the Moon, of course, and we were going through all of the books. So we'll be done in about 10 years.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm refusing here and now.
Good, yeah, good time to plug. But
I'm still on book halfway, book 9.
Oh wow!
And I really loved it, but I hadn't had the time to pick it up again. And if it takes a couple of months, then it's like, where is everybody? Where the fuck are we?
Yeah.
You mean you can't keep track of like 200 characters? Like, what's the big deal?
I know, right? I'm so inadequate is the word of the evening today.
Yeah, that's my main gripe with it too. It's just a bit too much at some points for me to keep track of everything.
So Dan, what did you read this month?
Yeah, I read that book. I read The Wind-Up Girl. Well, it's not done yet, but we're almost at the end. Been enjoying that a lot. I think that's my favorite book of the month.
Wow.
Yeah, I like it. I just like that, like grimy world building.
Mm-hmm.
It's just interesting to me. Like very good world building is something I'm really into, because it's the whole thing with the China Mieville books. Like it's 90% world building, and it's really interesting for me. And then I'm reading the Darkness books, I guess. I'm in the second book, which means in the equivalent of World War II terms, it's the first winter advance of the Nazis on Moscow. That's because it pretty much follows almost exactly the World War II sort of
Yeah.
Storylines. There's going to be a Stalingrad. There's going to be Oval Sphinx.
This is the Harry Turtle Dove you're talking about?
Yes, the Harry Turtle Dove. I think it's called the Darkness series, because like the first one is Into the Darkness, then plunging into darkness, and then something darkness, real darkness. But yeah, it's I don't know. It's not bad. It's not amazing. But I somewhat enjoy it. Yeah, but it's pretty much like World War II, but fancy. So instead of tanks, they have like behemoths. Instead of planes, they have dragons. Instead of bombs, they have eggs. But
and he's a good warfare writer, like the old ones. Who's one of the classics?
I don't know. I would define him as like solid. He's a solid, good, consistent writer. He likes a lot, and if you enjoy that or you tolerate it or whatever, you know what you're gonna get.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that you are a fan of Wind Up Girl, but it's the world building that you are enjoying.
Yeah, the world building is excellent. It's really, really good. And I mean, that's the main thing. I mean, the characters are also interesting. And I don't know. I just looking forward to see what happens with the plot. I'm just into the plot, and I'm into the world, and I like how it's written. I don't know. I just enjoy it in general. I don't see anything that I would not enjoy about it personally.
Nice. Yeah, so I'm guessing that'd be your pick for book of the month so far.
Yeah, for me, yeah, because it's also very original, so that counts a lot for me.
That's fair. Yeah, it's different. And Joshua, what have you been reading this month?
By chance, I started reading again this month because I had a very, very long drought. Just wasn't into it from January till the end of September. And the first book I read, finished, was Weird Gods from Susanna.
Nice. Oh, nice.
Very fast read. Really liked it. Still have to review it. It's not my genre, and I told her to her face, like, this is totally like not in my ballpark, because I love mythology, but I'm not great with it. Like I can't remember for the life of me what happened to whom and what the names were and who they were involved with. So it's all a jumble up in here, and it's written so well that I could follow, and that was the main thing for me. The beginning was a bit like what happened and why, and but if you get to the end, it's the payoff is amazing.
That's cool. I have that in my Kindle. I'll have to get to that.
Yeah. I mean, the Kindle edition is 394 pages. I read it in, I think, 2 or 3 sittings because it's like snap.
Excellent audiobook too. Yeah, the narrator's really, really good.
Yeah, that's what I heard. So I wanted to start number 2, but then I got sidetracked, distracted by my Warhammer books. My favorite duo of all time, Gotrek and Felix. So if you're ever getting into Warhammer, like the old world stuff, the best books you could get. Just they're written so well. If you love that adventure, Dungeons and Dragons style, 2 unlikely heroes getting mixed up in a lot of stuff like that. I don't know. You guys know it? I think Jared does.
I've read one. Yeah. Because that's a collection you have there, right?
Yeah. This is Omnibus the third one.
Oh, okay.
Steve, you know about it?
No, actually, I didn't know that. Well, I knew that they had written books, but I didn't know that any of them were any good. I
Yeah,
guess you could say.
so
They'll always worry about those kind of written in the world, like Magic the Gathering has a lot of like lore books, and I've heard some are actually okay, and then some are just really, really bad.
The old, so we can get into those books as well. But let's say Warhammer, the original ones. There are a couple that are really excellent if you're into the adventure type books. Gotrek is a Slayer dwarf. That is a dwarf that did something wrong in his past and has to renounce everything and find the most epic death he can find. Like, oh, there's a battlefield, 10,000 people. That's not enough. 100,000, let's go! And then try to get killed there. And then Felix is a warrior poet that mistakenly, like in a drunken... in a bar somewhere, met him and said like, well, I'll write everything down for you, your whole epic poem about how you die. And it's a lot of books, so it takes a while for him to die. But every book is like fun to read, and that is something that I love. It doesn't have to be all encompassing, like Stephen Erickson stuff. This is light, but still, because it's Warhammer, so dark, so bloody, guts and gore, like Michael R. Fletcher stuff. This is the originals. So I've read Giant Slayer, Orc Slayer, and then the novella Red Hand's Daughter. They're all excellent. And then I started, what was it again? Manslayer, the third one. And then I saw, oh, there's a character here that I meet from another book. And I was like, oh, God, I forgot that there's other books. So I started reading the Ulrika the Vampire books in the Warhammer universe again, just to see like, because this trilogy happens before Manslayer. This is book 2. So I'm trying to finish this one up before the end of October so I can continue the rest of my books. And that's it so far. So it's been great, but not a lot.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. Have you ever read the graphic novel versions?
No, not a single one.
They're pretty cool. Yeah, pretty cool adaptations. Yeah,
I have to choose. Like, either I buy novels or I buy graphic novels. Can't have them both. I try to have them both, and then suddenly all the money's gone. And I was lucky to pick up these books because when Steve said for that one book that it's so expensive to get a paperback, if you get into Warhammer, you're kind of screwed unless they do reprints. But for Gotrek and Felix, they keep on reprinting that because it's like the main thing for the old world. It touches on every race, on almost every battle throughout the old world. And now the new thing is Age of Sigmar. So what we can talk about.
Comics can be expensive.
Yeah, they can.
But the paperbacks, Jared, when it's Dungeons and Dragons, if you want the old books, the Forgotten Realm books, how much are the paperbacks?
I don't know because I haven't looked. Because I got them when they first came out.
So your collection is worth a lot.
It's
going to be between $20 for like a very crappy edition of a book to $300 for just a paperback.
Wow. I wish I would have kept them all. I have some, but I didn't keep them all. And
you made mistakes.
Yeah, so this is kind of a weird month for me. I've been jumping around different books, but I did finish Trader's Knot, so I am caught up. And I did start the next book, So I'm a few pages into that, so I'm trying to catch up to the group. And for anyone who loves fantasy, try reading Wars of Light and Shadow. I know we discussed the writing style at the beginning of the series, but it does feel a lot easier to read. And I don't know that it's because I've gotten used to it. I just think it's not as dense, I don't think, as you go through the series. It feels like it lets up. So if you are struggling with that, I think you'll be okay if you stick with it.
Haven't started it yet. I have all 10 books, but someday.
Someday, yeah. I did start The Traitor by Rue Cormorant by Seth Dickinson. It's okay. It reminds me a lot of the Poppy War. And I don't mind the Poppy War too much. I think so far it's just kind of the setup. I haven't gotten too far into it, but so I'm giving it some time before I make my decision.
It's kind of interesting, like the setup and like the characters. It's just the whole thing of it's not the classic fancy quest and stuff like that. It's a bit more different. I don't know, but that series was one of them where I read the first book. I'm like, I really enjoyed this. I started reading the second book, and I'm like, I can't read this. It's for me. I don't know why. It just felt like a huge drop off in what made the first one interesting, but I couldn't do it, and I never read the second one.
I hear that a lot. I've heard that a lot. Yeah, that it's a big change of style and tone in the second book.
Yeah, it's not the worst one, but I can't remember. There's one which is like the worst thing I've ever read, and the author should be a criminal for what she did. I think it's a woman, but it's.
I'm intrigued.
Well, because the first one is so good, and the second and third ones are so bad. It's like they're not even part of the same. I don't know what she was thinking, because the first one is like the whole like story of pretty much the villain, told from her perspective of her rising up to power from being a slave to like the queen of this empire, and it's all told from her perspective and with different writing style and everything. It's very into like that specific culture. It's like a desert culture, sort of African, like I don't know, Mali, West African inspired. And then the second one, it's like the most trite, normal Western fantasy, and with now the invaders, which is the people from first book coming to this island to attack people, and it's such garbage. I don't know. You can read the first one, just keep it like that. I would never read this certain third one again. I don't know. The first one is amazing, though.
There's another series that has a really Name of the Wind, which I DNF'd, but I hear that's yeah. Joshua, you were right on that, by the way. I should have listened.
Vindicated.
Yeah.
Is the first one? When's the one where he's at the school? Is it the second one or?
The first one is also a piece at the school. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm trying to remember. Where does the first one finish?
I don't know. I didn't finish it.
I blocked it. Mental block.
Okay. I'm just a sucker for magical fantasy school setting.
That's fair. Did you read Harry Potter as a kid? Or as a young
I
adult?
used to. I think I've read it like 15 times while I was I used to like reread, like for some summers in high school. I read the fourth book and I reread it and reread it and reread it. Wow. And then the last one came out and I was like, this is garbage, and I never touched it again. Yeah. So disappointed by the ending that it ruined everything else for me. And then I was like, yeah, I don't know. Like the fact when I just hate when like the character of the hero all dies and then he gets resurrected, and it's like I can't stand that sort of shit. So
spoilers.
I wonder if people who read Harry Potter, who were big fans of it, I wonder if that's where that trope became so popular, as people growing up read about the school, and it seems like a lot of people have an affinity for schools, magic schools, and things like that.
Well, there was Earthsea. Earthsea, I think, is the original one, isn't it?
I don't know.
The first book kind of had it. It wasn't really.
Yeah,
It was
he's
kind of
at
a
the school,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. It wasn't the
I,
focus of it though. Really, it was kind of. It was
I
kind of.
think
It
it's
was
at
kind
least
of
half
more.
of the first book.
Yeah, it's like more coming of age though, and
Yeah,
it was. There was some school in that one. Yeah, but then by the
yeah,
second book, that's done. There's no
yeah.
more.
It's just the
Yeah,
first
so
book. It's just
yeah.
the first book. There might have been other. I can't remember though. But yeah, Harry Potter is. But I think Harry Potter is something like you needed probably to be growing up when it was coming out, because like it's very specific to like if you read the first books when you were like 8 or 9 or 10, it's like the perfect age because they're written for that age, right? And then you're a teenager and you're reading the other like the longer ones and stuff like that.
I was
So it's
older
kind
than
of
25 when I read the first book. Thank you very much.
no, I'm not saying it's not, but I'm just saying like it's different. It like probably resonates a lot more if you're more like a child at that time, just because of how it's written and the stuff that's being talked about. But I've enjoyed some like children's books as an adult too, and they're really good.
I think
I don't know.
you probably almost get the feeling that you're growing up with the characters too if you were reading
Yeah.
when it was being published. It was like relatable
Yeah.
in that way.
Yeah. But if you look at it as a series together, it's so different, like the first book to the third book and the fourth. It's not like cohesive at all. Because just the
True.
writing style is completely different. The themes, like it's very, I don't know.
You see that in the movies as well, but because the movies are
Yeah.
like directed by different directors.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then certain parts. First, he has normal haircut, and then he has the emo haircut, and then he has a longer haircut like me, and it's like, okay, he has phases.
For sure.
So for speculative speculations, I've also been reading The Wind Up Girl. It's been okay. I'm not the biggest fan. I think there's a lot of tell, but not a lot of show. Is kind of my complaint with it so far. But maybe it'll get better as we get closer to the end. I also started Dopamine Nation, which has been a pretty solid read. I thought it was going to be more about social media and technology, but it touches on other things too, like addiction and kind of compulsions or things that we do to keep ourselves busy. And with technology and with other things to always keep ourselves busy, there's no shortage of things to kind of let our minds drift and not really focus and decompress and kind of reflect on our own lives. And it keeps us busy. So where we're always looking for entertainment and not really ever being entertained, I guess you can say. There's lots of different addictions that the book touches on, kind of different cases. And so yeah, I'm not done yet, but it's been little eye-opening. And yeah, kind of I felt called out a few times, but the other one, I read some H.P. Lovecraft this month with our friend Jose.
Okay.
Read some Cthulhu tales from H.P. Lovecraft in the Necronomicon.
What did you read? Which specific one?
Read Call of Cthulhu. Read the model, the
Pickman's model.
Pickman's model. Read Whisper in the Darkness. We read, let me look it up. Enthralling audio here. Give me just a second.
Which is the one where they go to like Antarctica or something? Which one is that one?
Oh,
is it not Lovecraft?
The Dunwich. Oh, we read the Dunwich Horror, and there's a few others that I can find. I don't remember Antarctica though. Was that?
Maybe it's the Mountain of Madness.
Yeah,
maybe.
we didn't read that one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But
never read any of them.
It was okay. I didn't. It was all right. It blows my mind that something like Cthulhu and Lovecraft, kind of the mythos, is public domain. He had no heirs, so no one to pass it on to. So that's why everyone can do whatever they want with Lovecraft and Cthulhu, and there's a whole kind of world and universe built around his writing, and it was more straightforward. The stories were more straightforward than I expected. They were a little bit more of a slow burn, kind of a creeping kind of horror, not really in your face, more of a A lot of the time we're being told a story from someone who wasn't connected to the actual events. It's someone else that is reading a journal or recounting kind of what that person told them, or someone who was involved telling the story. And that adds that separation, almost adds another element of horror to it, because you're almost hearing, it's almost like someone telling you a story that they heard. So you get that kind of, creepy feeling. So
Folklore.
it was okay. I enjoyed it.
All right.
Yeah.
On the to read list.
Yeah. So yeah, I thought it was okay. And there's you do really see the influence of someone like Lovecraft. Just like when you read something like Necromancer, then if you read Necromancer, you'll get a lot of you'll see the influence from that book in technology now. You'll see a lot of the names and verbiage and things like that. So did those things happen because the book was written, or did those things just happen? So it's strange how something in a piece of literature can really change the course of a whole genre. Like Necromancer changed science fiction.
You mean
Lovecraft?
Neuromancer?
Neuromancer, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Neuromancer by Gibson.
I haven't read it, but I thought so.
Yeah, sorry. I have Necromancer in my head, or Necronomicon.
You got Lovecraft on the brain.
Yeah, Lovecraft on the brain. So, but yeah, it's pretty.
It's afflicting him. Kill him.
It's yeah. Be careful. I'm gonna turn into a fish. So
yeah, mm-hmm.
You wish.
Yeah, I'll swim away. And I had read Providence by Alan Moore and Necronomicon. I believe that's the name, Necronomicon by Alan Moore, the graphic novels. When I read them, I didn't really understand the references, because Providence is full of Lovecraft references.
Yeah.
So now it makes a little bit more sense now that I've read the actual Lovecraft stories.
Mm-hmm.
So that's fun, but very heavy reads, nonetheless. Very, very disturbing for anyone who hasn't read those. But another thing that happened this month that I've been kind of excited about is the Absolute universe that DC Comics is launching, kind of the offshoot, Elseworld universe that they're starting. And I made the plea, and we can talk about it, but I made the plea for them to do this every few years, to relaunch the universe every couple of years, do just go wild, kill people off, make them evil, make them just go nuts, and then reboot it in a few years and leave the main titles alone, let them continue, but just play around it. Even throw in characters that you don't read a lot of. It doesn't have to be the Trinity all the time. You can throw in like Blue Beetle and Green Arrow and people that most readers don't care. They have their fans, but they aren't the headliners typically. Throw those characters in and build them up and let people be introduced to them, and then maybe they'll catch on to the main titles. So I think they should do it, and I also think they should go darker and just kill people off. But
why does it matter though if we're gonna come back after 2 years with a new reboot though?
It's just kind of that's the joy of it, because they're never gonna kill Superman off. I mean, they will someday again, but it won't be permanent. There's too much money involved, right? They're not going to kill Batman because there's too much.
That kills the joy for me.
Yeah, so it's like, they're never going to do it. There's too much money involved. So it's more of a gimmick when they do that in the main universe.
Main story, sure. In the main story, they're never gonna kill Batman. But what you said about the whole, they need to just do sidetrack thingies that are very, very dark. When I was still collecting, when I had money somewhere, I bought myself Batman Last Night on Earth, and then Batman White Knight, Batman Damned, because I'm still a Batman fan, and Deceased. And all of them are so dark and disturbing in their own way. They all have a doom setting, like either everybody dies or some people die, and what are the reasons? And they do this every couple of years, that they bring out something disturbing. And one of the first ones was The Killing Joke. If you've read that one, the ending is actually like really disturbed. I mean, especially what happens to everybody because of the Joker. It's and then you have the. Did you watch any of the DC? Not normal movies. You can, if you think about it, Zack Snyder's version was gonna go to the best epic, like, evil version, but no. The animated versions. Did any of you watch the animated movies?
I've heard they're good. They're better than the live action, but I've never watched them.
Yeah, exactly. So a couple that are really, if you want to try it, are like Justice League Dark, followed up by Apocalypse War, and then another one. Yeah, The Death of Superman is a classic. And then there is even a Batman in Lovecraft setting, like Batman Cthulhu stuff. So there's so much that they don't advertise around that is out there for people to find, which is so dark. But I don't understand why they keep it quiet. I mean, like you said, Steve, it's the more interesting stuff. The more why is this happening? What can happen when someone does this instead of this? And the whole happy-go-lucky thing. There's even a comic about the Justice League. I have it here somewhere. That tells a story about Batman has a file on all the superheroes, how to stop them, how to kill them. Yeah. What happens if someone gets that file?
We have some fun, is what happens.
Yes. So they are out there, Steve. You just need to find them. Or I need to post every book I have that is like, okay, this is one.
Wasn't that Grant Morrison who wrote that?
Could be. I'm gonna check.
I think it was.
Can find it again.
I remember that storyline.
And it's random too. Like it was in 5 book series, and I think it's number 2 or number 3, and you can read it like solo. But I need to find it. So if you're ever in the one of the best ones was Batman White Knight. White Knight is the what if Batman dies? Saving the Joker.
So, speaking of, I know that they make a case for Batman shouldn't kill, but if he finds someone like the Joker, and he killed the Joker like 30 years ago, how many lives would have been saved? Innocent people.
About that.
Like it makes no sense. It makes 0 sense.
Yeah.
It's like this.
I'm gonna put him back in jail. He's gonna get out again. I know, and he's gonna kill people.
Yeah. Well, and if Bruce Wayne used his money for programs to help people and the poor and make better infrastructure and stuff like that for Gotham City, then maybe there would be less crime. But
exactly.
That's why I like the Killing Joke, because you kind of see Batman in a different light after the end of the Killing Joke. When how much different is he and the Joker really? I mean, they're both a little insane.
Indeed.
Yeah, I've read some, I don't know,
that makes
people discussing it, saying that Batman is very, how do I say, like the whole fact that, he doesn't go to the root of the issue of why there's all this crime and all this problems in Gotham. He just, he just goes out and beats people up. It's a very, I don't know, somewhat, simplistic approach to crime and societal issues, I guess. But some people like to think that, even in real life, that's how you should go about solving problems.
Beating people up, or a
Well,
creepy
yeah,
pro
just
will
beating
make
all
me
the
feel better.
beating all the criminals up and put them in jail, and that's gonna solve everything.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah.
Let's say you, Jared, you're a comic aficionado. But
Yeah.
I've seen it all. uh, all the stuff that Josh was talking about, I've seen it here or there somewhere over the years, and I've seen hundreds of reboots of characters or Elseworld stories of characters, and I got really sick of the superhero stuff a long time ago, so I kind of stopped following it for a while. But it's that old saying: every time you get out, they drag you back in. And so, of course, I've been listening to you and Mike talk about comics, and now I'm like, oh, okay, I'll check out Absolute Batman #1, and
it was all right.
it was okay. It was,
It was all right.
the thing is, I'm never gonna stick with it. Like, I'm never gonna. I might check out the issue 2, but I have this odd feeling that I will drop off after that, because I just can't do the superhero stuff anymore.
Maybe you should check out European comics.
Yeah, I have. Oh, I've read a bunch of them.
Okay.
I've read a bunch of European comics.
Tintin.
Oh yeah.
I've read. I tried a lot of manga. The only one that stuck was Lone Wolf and Cub, and
okay,
that's the only one that really stuck with me. And so I tried a lot of stuff, and I just keep going back to my mainstay. I keep going back to Conan. That's what I read. I read Conan. There was one thing I forgot to mention that I read this month, and that was a novella by Steven Erikson called Revolvo. And
I've heard of it.
It's in the collection The Devil Delivered and Other Tales, but it's the second story in there called Revolvo, and it was a riot. It was funny. If you know Erickson's humor at all, you will crack up at the story. And he's throwing huge digs at the art industry, and it's quite humorous. So that was probably actually my book of the month.
Wow.
Even though it was a novella, it was only 100 pages long. But it was funny. It was good.
That's all you need.
It's hard to get back to superhero stuff when there's so many other great books out there being written that are complete stories that you can sit down and read, and you get the complete story instead of having to waddle through decades of continuity. That who keeps up? I don't know who can keep up with all that stuff.
But I've been wondering, like, because comic books used to be big in the 90s and 2000s and stuff like that. Like, how are we still selling a lot now? Because I don't know anyone that still buys comics. I know people that buy manga, but nobody that buys comics anymore.
Omnibuses and compendiums and stuff like that. But
I used to work at a comic store.
Wow.
And just part-time, and I was, at the time I was there, you could see the decline in readership.
Okay.
I was there for like 6 years, just part-time. You could just see the decline in readership from 2008 on to 2014, and it was pretty sad. And I've watched a couple, probably 3 or 4 comic book shops go out of business in this area in New England, so it's definitely not as big as it used to be. Late 80s and 90s, it was pretty big.
Do you think it's something to do with the medium, or just fatigue, or what do you think?
Well, the comics had a crash in the late 90s. There was a big boom. There was a big speculation boom. And, people were buying #1s just to sell them right away if they could, and then the crash, and people had 1,000 copies of the latest Superman #1 in their basement and worth 1 cent, basically.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people got burnt because of that. They weren't in the market to read; they were in the market to speculate.
Yeah.
And so the industry suffered because of that, and it never really recovered to the rate because of what the rate wasn't supposed to be there in the first place.
Okay.
If you had a reader-based market instead of a speculative market for aftermarket stuff, then it could have built on a more steady path. And it's funny because you would think that the advent of the Marvel movies would have led to a resurgence in the interest, and it did in some cases here and there, but it was very isolated. And but the advent of the Marvel movies was also the advent of a greater use of Facebook, social media, YouTube, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's when that stuff started peaking, and the attention span just took it all away. And
do you guys know if you can you read Marvel comics and stuff like that online? Do they have like a portal you can just buy them online?
There's subscriptions. There's online subscriptions
Okay.
you can get. From what I know, it never really took off. People do it, but there is definitely, for the collector, there's definitely something more tactile about having that comic in your hand.
Yeah.
That feels so much better than
You
reading
own
it on a
nothing
screen.
that is digital. You own nothing that is digital.
Yeah. Well, that's a whole another topic, the not owning stuff.
Well,
but
unless you download it and you crack it and you save it in your own hard drives.
But there is something tactilely pleasing to reading something, a comic especially, because of the feel of it and the weight of it, and but it, it's one of those things that the industry keeps chugging along. They're still putting the stuff out, I think they get most of their revenue from other stuff than the comics themselves.
Merchandise.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
For me, personally, I would say, like Steve said, getting into one of those fandoms, you have to do a lot of research just to see, like, okay, do I start with book number 1? But if I start book number 1, then I'm missing part number 52 from that series because that character was introduced there. And so that is one thing. Then the digitalization, not the that you can pay for a service or something, but the fact that you can download everything from somewhere, that you can own everything the pirate way, means that's an extra blow to those that try to make money from it, like artists and the industry in total. And then the last thing for me is going to be most of the movies are absolute garbage. And if you look at them and then you see it like, okay, that was garbage, I don't like this character, I will never see if there is anything good about this character because you're scared away because of a garbage movie. I mean, one of the best Flash comics is the one with Flashpoint. What was it called? Anybody can help me here?
It's Flashpoint. I think it's that
just
was
Flashpoint.
Yeah, I think it was. That's what launched the new 52, right?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah. Just Flashpoint. Amazing comic, and then they make that movie, The Flash, loosely based on it, changing the most important parts and just messing it up completely because reasons, I don't know. And then everybody who watched that movie that I know was like, that was absolute garbage and The Flash sucks. And I'm like, just read that comic, it's so good. Just so good. And they don't want to.
I don't think anyone watched that movie though. I think your friends might have been the only ones who watched it
I made
because it
them
didn't do
watch
well
it.
at all.
I own it.
Oh,
If
Yeah,
you're a simp, you're a simp.
Yeah, and there's a couple of things that you pointed out there, Josh, and that one of them is, as far as the movies go, the movies are a different medium. So even for people who like the movies, if they go to a comic expecting to get out of that what they got out of a movie, they're not going to get it. It's not the same, and
Yeah.
so it's just there's a disconnect there in the relatability that probably didn't lead to any sales in the comic book shops. And but as far as like getting into comics, I don't know if Steve remembers, but I remember back in the late '80s, I went and bought like Uncanny X-Men number 242 or something like that, and I just started reading it.
mm-hmm.
And sometimes there was a little editor's note or something like that that said, see issue 238 for this, if you want to understand more about this point. But you could still read the comic without having to have this historic knowledge of the whole medium. And today, that's a lot harder to do.
It's true. But that also brings the fandom can be really toxic. What do you mean you haven't read that one? What do you mean this character comes from there? Do you know nothing?
Yeah, but that
is also a factor for a lot of people to not try
anything. That can be happening in any medium though.
Fandom
and fandom in general. But it didn't happen me at the time because I was just like, oh wow, and there was just something special about having a shop where you could actually go back and hunt for those back issues, and they weren't $85 and whatever. They were just cover price, and then you could wait for the next one for next month if you enjoyed it. Whereas now there was a certain point where comics were written specifically for the collection later, and so if you get in on number 30 and it's in the middle of one of those storylines written for the graphic novel, you're completely lost.
Yeah.
And
that's a mistake
then you
by the
either have
industry.
to wait for the collection or you have to hunt for back issues, which are a lot harder to find now because there's not as many. And and there's not readily available stores who keep the issues around as there was back when the direct market was created. And so it's...
I always also felt that it was like kind of like the normal issues are a bit small, though. I always felt like I'm not getting much value out of them comparing to buying like the collected ones.
Yeah.
They're so thin, and it's just like, I don't know, I'm just getting like 10, 50 pages, and that's it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It felt like...
It depends, it depends on what you're looking for.
To me.
But that's good advice. If you're getting into something, see if there's a collection, especially if it's comics or something. For me, that can go to Warhammer because of the omnibus, because then you have the trilogy for something or whatever. But then another thing that for me works, and I hope that works for other people as well, is if you see something you like, if it's artwork or you hear something like, man, that sounds amazing about some character or whatever, just about that character or about that thing. Not go like, oh, I need to go to book number 1 for this or that. Batman, you can start anywhere, in my opinion. Just go for the character that you are interested in. You can always do research, but it helps just to let go of that stress.
It feels overwhelming sometimes.
That's stressful, and just like, okay, you want to know about the Flash, best book, Flashpoint. For me, what I've read so far.
I think events hurt too, because if you are reading just for one character and then there's this crossover, then if you want to keep up with what's going on in the book that you're reading, you have to pick up the other however many books just because they want you to read the other books too. So yeah, that's tough.
That's compulsive behavior. I mean, have to is saying a lot. I mean, Gotrek and Felix, the book I'm reading, I don't have to read Ulrika the Vampire. That is me. That is my problem. That is a my issue. That is technically a non-issue because you can read those books without ever reading anything about Ulrika the Vampire. Ever.
Well, I actually think most people have that attitude, and that's why these events don't really work, because I don't think they're hurting the industry more than helping. And I think mentioned the fandoms. I think some of the comic book stores have that fandom in the employees. Not all of them. I think my store is pretty. Most people there are pretty welcoming to new people who aren't familiar with comics and steer them in the right direction. But there are lots of stores who are a little like dickheads to the new people who kind of look down on people and kind of disrespectful to people who are just trying to get into the hobby. So I don't think that's helped either. And it's kind of the stereotype that everyone has in their mind from the snobby comic book person at the store. And not all of them are like that, but I think that's another thing that kind of hurts the hobby or the art form. And manga, I think, is another thing. I think manga is doing great. My Barnes and Noble, there's a huge section dedicated to manga. I mean, there's tons of there's a huge space, because when you pick up a manga, you have, you can usually finish the story. There's not crossovers. There's not extra crap that they're trying to sell you. Most of them are it may go on for a while, like Berserk, or it may be 2 or 3 books, but you know that you're going to get this is a bad example for Berserk, but you're going to get a beginning, middle, and end, and you're going to get a complete story.
Wait,
90% of them are shorter than 50 issues.
But Berserk never finished, right?
Yeah, Berserk
It's never going to finish.
But it's only the really famous ones that go on forever, right? Or the ones for children, or there's some super long-standing series that continue from the 60s and 70s. Yeah, but 90% of them are short, and at some point they conclude and you're done with it, which is to me more consumer friendly.
Yeah, but I think Steve said it more standalone. It's a series about that done. No the crossover. Yes. There could be series that have crossovers. I read a couple. I don't remember exactly, but
there's a couple. And I think the other thing that makes people still buy, because people buy the tankobon, which are the collected ones, right, for just that story. But I think the other thing which is positive, which also a lot of European comics do, is the comic comes out and it's like Jump for Shonen Jump in Japan, and it has 10 different comics inside it. So you just buy that one and it has 10 different ones, and it has a little bit of each story inside it. So you're not just buying the one comic, you're just buying that, and you see a bunch of things. You're like, oh, maybe I like this one and that one, and I continue following that story, and some fall off. But I feel like it's more of an incentive to buy the ongoing books, to me, because you get more value out of it. I feel that's what I used to when I used to buy the ones in Italy. I felt getting more value out of those ones compared to just the single issues.
Interesting.
And I think one thing that I'm not a big fan of with the single issues is that you can't put them on the shelf. Just not only because it looks cool, but because it's an easy place to store it. So if you aren't able to just throw it on the shelf, well, you can, but you want to usually keep that real estate for other books. But if you don't have a space to put them, then you have a long box, and then it becomes a whole nother thing. So it's another. But if you have the trade, or you have a collected edition or an omnibus, you can throw it on the shelf, and
it's much easier to read too. You just take out one book instead of 6 small.
If the quality is there, because DC and Marvel have some print runs that are oh yes, you have all 1,000 pages of whatever comic, and you open it, and it's woof, everything falls out because the binding isn't quality. Frustrations. Yeah, coming back to the fandoms. Fandoms make or break a lot of things. Magic the Gathering. You've got fans for Commander, you've got fans for Modern, you've got fans for Legacy, you've got fans for... if someone tries to get into Magic, the first thing most people tell you.
Don't.
Exactly. That is a money sink. That is a hole you're throwing your money down. Exactly the same for Warhammer. If someone is like, "Oh, that looks so cool," and I want to paint something or whatever, people say like that is a waste of money. The people that are playing it say that.
I mean, there's much cheaper miniature games which are,
But does that matter?
perfectly valid. You
If
can
that
play.
person wants to spend their hard-earned cash on something and they want to try something, they should be able to just do it and not be like
Yes.
blocked off like, don't do it, it's gonna be a mistake.
Yes.
You get influenced a lot by people saying that. I did the same with Steve for the Name of the Wind book, for example. Now I was right. I was 100% correct. I'll but that is the influence we have with our words in everything. Booktube. When one booktuber says this book is absolute garbage and it stops selling, or technology, there's a lot of channels that are 12 million people are subscribed, and they say this car is absolute garbage, that car doesn't get sold, company goes down, whatever. There's so much that we just take from other people instead of just try it.
Yeah.
I mean,
true. And if you're interested, you're naturally going to want to get more information on it, and et cetera, et cetera.
And hey, Magic can be a money sink. I'm not disagreeing that at all.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you can play Pauper, like all commons.
Yeah.
You can buy them in bulk for a couple of bucks for thousands of cards, and then just go, let's do a Pauper draft. Let's go. I mean, and that's the same amount of fun.
It's like anything else that you want to put your money into. You know, anything can be a money sink. I mean, I was into Magic heavily for many years, and yeah, I spent a lot of money on it, and but I also had a ton of fun. And you know, if you think about what do you spend your money on for fun, some people spend it on gadgets. Some people spend it on drones, and
yeah, true.
But but that's what people spend their free cash on, and but I had a ton of fun when I was doing that. I was doing the tournament scene. I was heavily into the trying to get on the pro tour.
Oh, really?
And I came in second at a qualifier once, and I just missed it. Just missed a free trip to Spain. But
no big
it was
deal.
The point was doing it was a blast.
Yeah.
The level of competition that I got into was very high, and it was very fun, and I loved doing it. You know, and then reality struck, and I was like, okay, I got to move on with my life here, but you know, I never regret that aspect of getting into the hobby at the time I did.
Exactly.
You know, and you know, now I'm doing YouTube and I'm doing podcasts, and I'm having just as much fun, and it's cool.
Yeah.
I think the only word of caution I would say, instead of, don't get into these hobbies and stuff like that, it's more like, take your time. Don't be like, I need to buy everything, or, get, a fear of missing out. You're like, there's all these things I need to buy, all the things for my army, and have a huge thing, and then you never play with it because you end up not liking it.
FOMO.
Like stuff like that. Just take your time, spend a little bit at a time. Don't buy everything immediately.
FOMO is my biggest enemy. I buy so many things. So I mean, everybody knows this on the page showing forums. I'm like, there's a new video game coming out for this series. I haven't played any of them, but I need the next one. I don't know why. same for books. Oh, I bought the first one with the hardcover. I need the second one hardcover and the third one. No paperbacks for this series. Could be that they're absolute garbage, but at the same time, I came to terms with it that if something like that happens, I either give it away or I sell it, or to someone who wants it more than me, who is more interested than me, and at least I tried it. I mean, and that's a choice. And so far, I've been very lucky. I'm keeping a lot of books.
Lucky.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I had some stinkers in there as well. Not a lot, but they went out of the window, out of the door as fast as possible.
Yeah.
But
For me, it helps. Like after seeing something, I'm like, oh, I want to buy this thing, and I'm like, I always make myself like wait at least 2 or 3 weeks before I actually buy it, because like half the time I'm like, I don't care anymore after.
That's a good thing, except for if you're a true like collector. I want a new PlayStation 5 Pro. It's pure garbage, but the special edition was sold out in 28 minutes. I mean,
Wow.
I just refuse, and I refuse any special editions.
I know, but there are people who want
too
this.
much.
I mean, and
Yes,
and they are like,
I
I'm
get
gonna wait 3 weeks. No, you're gonna be there day one, or you won't have it in ever.
Yeah, I mean, you could, a lot of them you can wait a while, like a year, and it's gonna be half price for a lot of them.
If it's about books or comics, then you can wait as long as you want. Magic the Gathering, it's all random in packages, and if you wait a couple of weeks, you can buy the singles.
Yeah, it's always cheaper.
Yeah.
Buying singles.
Yeah, it's true.
Unless you get really lucky, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's not as fun as opening that pack.
The
True.
gambling addict
It
is
is
here.
fun.
It is gambling, yeah.
Yeah, it's just realizing what you can afford and what you can't afford, and what is actually going to give you enjoyment, and what is actually, oh, you buy it and 10 minutes of enjoyment and then it's gone forever. You know what I mean? I don't know. I had like this year, because I started having not much space in my apartment, so I went through all the things from all my different hobbies and magic and miniatures and books and stuff like that. And I'm like, do I actually use them? No, so I sold everything I wasn't using.
Wow.
And it wasn't to me.
I ended up.
I feel so left out.
Yeah, I had so many like role playing books. I had like probably 150 role playing books for all different things. Or like I would love to play with. I just don't have a group that would play them.
Yeah, that sucks.
And I'm never going to use them. And I have a lot of other hobbies, so it's better just to.
That is very important.
And instead of.
For role-playing games, for Magic the Gathering or any trading card game or Warhammer, you need people. You can.
Any hobbies, like, if you have a group that makes it worth it, yes. But if you don't have people in your life,
a book you can read by yourself, a movie you can watch by yourself, a comic you can read by yourself. There are limitations to some hobbies. Warhammer you can just paint and make it look pretty in the closets and stuff. Yeah, sure.
True. But if you want to just paint, you probably shouldn't buy Warhammer models. You can buy like, busts and like nice models which are cheaper and more.
But I want my Marines.
You can buy third-party Marines sculpted by someone else.
Oh no,
it's not the real thing.
And they're just as good, and they cost what a quarter of the money. I don't know. For me, like a lot of these hobbies have a bit of a problem in the sense that they're dominated by one big giant in the industry. Warhammer, miniature, role-playing, D&D, Magic, card games, Magic, right? So it's like they become synonymous with that hobby. So it kind of like, I don't know, everyone feels like they need to play that to get into the hobby. Instead of realizing there's a lot more things which maybe are more suited for them and they would enjoy more. But they just feel forced. Well, because the community is big. And
you can say the same for comics and books as well. Because if someone says, I want to get into comics, then you need to read. What was it again? I mean, there are so many starter comics that people say like this is it. Like I said for the books, if you want to get into Warhammer, read Gotrek and Felix, but technically just pick one of them and just watch out that it's number one or hey, the omnibus and not part 2 or 3, because then you're screwed.
But at least, like you said, they're viable even if you're alone.
Yeah.
If you're playing a game and you need someone else, you need someone else.
Yeah.
You can't do it on your own.
I have a lot of board games here, and I'm like, yep, I am home alone right now. Great, excellent.
Yeah.
You can play board games by yourself these days. Every board game is getting a solo variant.
True.
But I don't like that. Then I play a video game. I mean, I don't see it. I know people that play solo. It's fine. I just don't see it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, fair enough.
With Magic, I think it's tough because you need a group. But I think I got pretty lucky because my group is we just kind of play whatever we have. We're not really too concerned about formats or anything else. We just kind of throw things together and do crazy, wacky stuff, and it's more of an excuse just to kind of get together and hang out and
you can play online these days too. So.
I really fought that because I didn't fight it, but I really resisted because the cost of Magic is already kind of wild. But so if I'm putting that money into digital cards, I can't resell.
Yeah. No.
Oh, I haven't spent anything on Magic Arena.
Yeah, Arena you can play for free.
Yeah. You can play dailies. Yeah.
I haven't spent 0 in the last year, and I'm not going to spend anything.
But I like the cards.
I've played League of Legends for 10 years, and I've spent only $500.
There's a salty person here. Please remove him.
I mean, for 10 years of enjoyment, that's probably fine.
Enjoyment? You, sir, are the devil.
For 10 years of anger and anger management.
And you enjoy that, huh?
It's a thing to do.
It's fine. Woe addiction here, so it's fine.
I think because I don't know about you guys, but I played MMOs for a long time, and when you add up the monthly fees like subscription fees, I don't even want to know how much I spent.
But what did you get out of that MMO? Was it the story, or the community, or just the enjoyment of playing, or all these together? If you felt like it was a grind and you weren't having fun, what the fuck were you doing?
Oh, it was a grind. Yeah, it was an addiction too. I think it was an e-addiction that it became a thing, and that's part of the game. But it's part of. I think they designed those games to be addictive, to make them treadmills.
Of course.
And I ran on that treadmill for a long time. I spent a lot of time playing MMOs. It was fun, but looking back now, it's like I should have been doing something more productive.
No.
But
you said it was fun, then you shouldn't look back at it like I should have been doing something different. If you had fun, then that's okay. If you didn't have fun, then you have a problem.
As long as you realize what you're doing and you're, consciously engaging with it instead of being, tricked by
Jared had fun
dopamine feedback.
Being a pro Magic player. I mean,
yeah.
And then he was like, "Nope, this is no longer for me. Done." But did you have fun, Jared, when you're doing it? You said so.
I had a blast. Yeah,
there
not
you go.
pro. I didn't get the pro. Trying to go pro.
Pretty close.
I hosted 2 of those events, by the way. 2.
Yeah.
Qualifiers.
No, I used to run the tournaments at the store on Friday nights and the FNM.
Nice.
What deck did you play in your in your tournament?
That one was sealed. Sealed. Where you get 6 packs and you had to maybe build a deck out of them.
Like what year was it?
What year?
What set
that
was
was
it?
2012. So it was
Zendikar? No, it was
Theros. It was Theros.
Oh, Theros.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, it was that was fun. Yeah, and there was a couple other bigger tournaments where I made top 8 too, but it was never really went over the top. So,
if you had one game to play, and it was the game, what deck would you play? Any format.
Oh, jeez.
Commander 100%.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I was never that great at Commander. For some reason, I just never clicked with that one.
Oh, it's
I loved Sealed. That was my favorite format. Limited, they call it. You can the top 8 in the sealed tournament is draft, so you can draft the cards. That was my favorite thing, was building a deck on the spot with the limited amount of cards you have.
Yeah.
I love that aspect of it.
That's pretty fun. I guess I might, if anyone likes that sort of aspect and likes to play Magic that way, there's an amazing board game which I love called Seasons, which is pretty much just that. You get like a pool of, each person gets 10 cards, and then you sort of pass them around, you draft that pool of 40 cards, and then you have your deck.
That's no longer in print since, 2018 or something? That's Libellut, right? Seasons?
I don't know. I always see like used copies everywhere. It's pretty
not in print. Used copies, sure.
Yeah, I don't know if it's in print or not, but yeah. Anyway, it's pretty good, and it gives you that feel of like building your deck with whatever random cards are available in the pool. And then you finish, and you have everything. It's you don't need to buy new Magic.
Well, the addictive quality of Magic the Gathering was that there was a new set every 3 months, and so you had new draft cards, and it just never stopped.
True.
I even started to forget all the color combinations. It's been 5 years since I've played, and it's like Gruul and all that stuff. It's almost gone.
I could list them down now, but I'm not going to do that.
What was black and green again?
Golgari.
Yeah. My Golgari zombie elf deck.
Oh, zombie, nice.
It was. I didn't take it all the way to competitive. I could have if I played double lands, but I was like, nope. I am going just plain mana.
Yeah.
And if I'm lucky, I can get a turn 5 kill for everybody at the table. But that's it. That's all I can do. It's fun to see it go off, though. It was a sacrifice creature deck.
I can never get into Commander. I don't know. I just never took to it. I've only played one game, so that could be why too.
Yeah. And it's the building. It's Commander is the easiest thing to get into because you only need one of each card.
Yeah. No, it's fun. It was fun. I do like.
Unless,
Well, I mean, but you need 100 cards.
Yeah, but then it's like I really need that one really good card that costs $20 or something. Then you only need one, not 4.
True.
Yeah.
I have a bunch of Commander decks. I just got a bunch, and then I'm not very going to buy any more. And if someone wants to play Commander with me, I take out my 15 decks and choose one. I'll choose one. Let's play it. I actually, half of them are just, it's allowed. Why not? I got like proxies printed, but not like proxies of the art of the normal cards, just like custom art. So I have one deck which is like an Evangelion deck with all the art from Evangelion. But it's an actual, vehicle deck.
Yeah.
And I have a bunch of, Lord of Rings decks, which are like reskins of other decks. Or I made my own Berserk decks. Just made my own art for all the cards and then got it printed.
There's some beautiful art out there for your cards.
For sure. I don't know if I should encourage it, but I guess, printing cards, I don't think that's illegal. It's just, if you make your own designs, that's fine.
Is it illegal to have them printed for you? Is it illegal too?
I think so. If you're not selling them, I think so. And if it's your own designs.
If you go to tournaments, you need to have the original card with you for every card that you printed like that.
Yeah, I'm saying if you're playing at home, with friends and stuff like that. Not in the shop, I guess.
Now I really want to play again, just to get that feel again, like.
I should just play online then.
No, I can't. Board games or card games are meant to be played at the table with a good beer or a whiskey and your mates. Video games.
Okay.
I don't know why I have that. It's everybody that I know plays one of those games online. But I just can't.
I play Arena.
There's a lot of good board games adaptations online, and some board games are so annoying and fiddly to do all the counting and all the moving of things that people prefer to do it online because the computer does everything.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
I can't help myself. Purist.
Yeah, I don't know. My group used to play Terraforming Mars. Like we played 150 games of it or 200. And then we started playing online, and it was like, okay, we don't have to spend half an hour setting everything up and cleaning and everything. And we never went back. So sometimes convenience trumps feeling.
Oh, yeah.
So a graphic novel or a book wins every time. The only setup you need to do is sit your ass down, take that book, open it, and start reading.
I don't know. I have my Kindle here against convenience. I can't. I'd be nice, but...
The added bonus of having a real book is sniffing it.
Maybe when I have my own house, maybe. And I have space.
That is a big thing. Space for every hobby.
Yeah.
Yep. You don't know how many comics I've sold off because of space.
Yeah.
I can see the pain on your face.
Space is at a premium, so
for everything.
I'm not sure, Dan or Joshua, if you guys have been watching The Penguin.
I wish I was.
Penguin.
The problem I have is I don't have the HBO account yet because with moving to Sweden, I cannot have Belgium HBO. I need to have Swedish HBO, and then I just got my ID card, and I need a special login thing from the bank to be able to start a subscription in Sweden.
Oh, jeez.
So annoying, these things.
That took me, what is it? The ID card, I got it last week, so that's 3 months and a half.
Wow.
These are the things that make people like, oh, I'll just download it. Fuck it.
I used to be like that. I should be again.
If you feel guilty, you can always just buy it after.
Yeah, sure. That is one of the things that I really hate. You can buy it after. I want to buy physical copies of so many series or movies that I just can't. It's like, oh, when are they printing that? Never? Oh, great. Excellent. Why? Why?
They want you to buy their service to watch it forever. They don't want you to have it on the shelf because then you may not need the service.
Yeah. And if Disney prints their movies, okay, that's great. But the movies are IMAX on the service, so it's the borders go, so you have more on your screen, and on the Blu-ray, it's just widescreen. Why?
I wonder why.
Because then you would subscribe. So like Steve says, it's like you cannot have premium unless you pay us every month for premium. It's I mean, I'm so happy that I have this, but I never reprinted it, and now it's on Disney Plus, but I still have it.
Oh, nice. Excellent.
Everything on DVD. I mean, can't take this away from me. But the new series I will never be able to buy because they're not going to print it.
Yeah.
Yeah, feels bad. I just can't get into any of those things with like subscription and stuff like that. It just, I don't know. It feels bad to me.
I understand you completely.
That's probably why I'm missing out from a lot of things. I'm just like, I never see the series that everyone is watching and stuff like that. But
I will watch it, Steve. It's just gonna take a while. I'll just have to wait until everything is settled because I saw everything on the page chewing forums and I was like, the FOMO is real.
Yeah. Jared and I are discussing it on the podcast. It's been really, really good.
Yeah, outstanding.
You bastard!
Just outstanding. That's by far my favorite show of the year.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I don't have an itch in my neck, but I'm scratching anyway.
Okay.
Just to
Well,
build your
I
FOMO.
have to leave now.
All right.
Sorry, guys. I have to leave
Yeah.
now.
Thanks for hanging out, Dan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. See you, Dan.
Yeah. Thanks for hanging out. It was nice. It's been a
Yeah.
while. Yeah, Steve and Jared. It's been like almost a month, I think.
Wow.
Since
It's been a
last time.
while.
Time
Yeah.
flies. Yeah.
That is
So
true.
yeah, and nice meeting you, Joseph.
All right,
Okay,
drive safe,
talk
Dan.
to you guys
See you
later.
then.
Bye.
No, I'm definitely gonna check it out. I loved the movie more than other people did. The Batman movie, where it is coming from.
Oh yeah.
It was different. It was not the best Batman movie, but it was different, and I really liked it.
I enjoyed it. It was good.
Those
But
events
yeah.
tie into the series.
Oh, the pain. I am so disappointed that they'll never use that Joker that they spoiled at the end.
How come?
He was too disgusting for the test audience.
Really?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Have you seen the pictures of it?
No.
I haven't.
Yeah. It's disturbing. And I was like, let's go.
It's supposed to be disturbing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you think about what the Joker actually is, it would be very disturbing.
It's such an interesting character study, and every new iteration of him keeps being interesting. I don't know how they do it. There are stragglers, of course, and I'm not talking about the movies, because oh god, the movies, some Jokers can just fuck off and die. But I'm talking about the graphic novels.
What's your favorite Joker?
Yeah, that is the standard answer for me.
Heath Ledger.
Yeah, that is the standard answer. I don't know. He just did a thing, and I'm gonna make this pin disappear. Ta-da! I mean, how he does it. The scene where he blows up the hospital,
Mm-hmm.
and the thing doesn't work.
Yeah.
And he just stays in character and goes like, and turns out, bam! It's like, dude, just perfect. He went too far. Okay, sure, but I don't know. What is it for you guys?
It's for the movies. It's Heath Ledger.
Yeah.
But as far as the comics go, what is the best iteration of the Joker? Because there's been a lot of different iterations.
Been a lot of
too. That's a good question. That's tough. I mean, the Killing Joke comes to mind as probably the penultimate Joker version.
Exactly.
But there's been a lot of other good ones too. But it's hard to pick them out of the. I need a lineup in front of me.
Yeah, exactly. And that makes it fun.
Yeah, I love Heath Ledger's though. I still watch it now today. It's really
he was, yeah. He is missed as an actor. I think I've seen everything he did. No, I think so. Hey.
Yeah.
I can have that.
It's one of those roles where, as an actor, like I didn't follow him or anything like that at the time, and I was like,
I did,
and he did that role, and I was like, oh wow, I didn't know he could do that, and then I started looking at some of his other stuff, and then and I have a feeling I'm gonna be doing the same thing with Colin Farrell now, because man, is he knocking it out of the park with the Penguin.
The best movie I watched this year is a movie from a couple of years ago. The one with the Banshee of
his Irish movie there.
Oh yeah,
that is so good. Like,
I want to check that out now because of Colin Farrell's performance in the Penguin. So.
I watched it back to back just a couple of times because I that is just so far the best movie I've seen this year.
Wow,
It's a good
that's
one.
cool.
In Bruges. Have you seen In Bruges?
Obviously.
Good
Fucking
stuff.
Bruges.
Yeah, that's a good one too. Another Colin Farrell movie.
Oh,
And the other
Yeah.
actor as well.
He's in Banshees of Inisherin, right?
Yeah, same duo.
okay.
Mhm.
Cool.
Dark. Well, it's a dark humor, I guess. In Bruges.
Yeah, definitely.
That's the other one. He's also in The Gentleman. Not a huge part, but he's in The Gentleman.
The Gentleman.
The
Is that Guy Ritchie?
Guy Ritchie. Yeah.
Which one was that from Guy Ritchie?
With,
Yeah.
Not a huge part, but he's in it.
Yeah. Which was the first one that I saw him that I was like, I'm gonna watch a lot more of this. Now I have to check. I haven't seen The Lobster yet. That is one of the movies that everybody's recommending to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll
okay.
pass.
Okay,
It
I
was
haven't
okay.
seen
It
it
was,
yet.
Yeah. Oh, you saw it?
I
Jared?
did see The Lobster. Yeah, it was. I don't know. Didn't impress me.
I started following him with Phone Booth. Was an okay movie.
Is that Halle Berry?
Is that Halle Berry? Who knows? I forget if she's in a movie. No. Well, it was interesting. Oh, and then Bullseye in Daredevil.
Oh yeah,
That was actually pretty bad.
he's come a long way.
Yeah.
He's come a long way. He was also good in True Detective season 2. That he was pretty good on that too. That season is not so bad. On a rewatch, it's not. I haven't finished it, but kind of taking peeks here and there. It's not as bad as I remember it to be. I didn't think it was that bad, but it's a little bit better than I remember it being.
True Detective. The ending of the last season was. It was.
We had fun talking about it though.
True.
Yeah, I think we had more fun talking about it than actually watching the show.
Actually watching it, yeah.
Oh, by the way, Warhammer. If you want to watch something, if you're like, I want to get into the lore of Warhammer and see what it's like, and if it's for me, and not spend a single dime, Hell's Reach on YouTube. That is the animated movie by fans of the book Hell's Reach. It's amazing. It is like that is free to watch on YouTube. And if you like that, if you're like, okay, this is for me, then 40K, then you can't go wrong, because it's one of the most epic battles in the 40K universe. Hell's Reach. One word.
Yeah, like there's different parts of it.
It's one movie. Otherwise, I'll post it on the forum or something.
Okay. It's all fan made.
Let's see if I can just
dedicated fans.
Yeah. It's the dude that posted it was Rostam Archives. 2019, and the movie's 2 hours and 30 minutes long. Completely in black and white. But then you have the story of Hell's Reach, the book, which is no longer in print, sadly, which I am looking for. Which is going to cost me an arm and a leg if I ever find it. That is the issue with all these things. Keep on printing them, please, because people want to read them.
Yeah, I think physical media, I can see it's making a little bit of a comeback, but not. I think the abundance of streaming services now are pushing people more towards buying physical media. I don't think it's a huge movement, but I think CD sales are up. I think physical sales are up just a little bit. Yeah, it's starting
getting
to move
traction. I mean, PlayStation 5, the I saw somewhere that the numbers were out for disc version versus the digital version, and it's 82% for the disc version
Really?
sold. Yeah.
Wow.
So people know and want their stuff. They it's becoming more and more rampant with Steam. Recently came out with you don't own any of those games because they are legally obligated to say it. It's like, we know this, but thanks for saying it anyway, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know that a lot of people really
Some
think about it.
yeah, some people might not know it. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can't leave them in your will. That is also important. So if you die, and your next and your kin cannot get that account technically.
That's wild.
Yeah, I know, right? It's like,
Who's
okay.
gonna take the time to inform Steam that somebody died? Though?
Yeah. Hopefully you have the access to the recovery email address to get
Yeah.
the password.
Exactly.
'Cause, yeah.
Keep them in a notebook because it's physical.
Yep.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
They can inherit the notebook.
You can also be banned for any reason. I mean, they don't really have to give you a reason, right? On Steam, ban you. They could just ban you, and your whole library is gone.
Yeah.
I must have like over the years, I don't know, 40 games, 50 games, could disappear tomorrow if for any reason.
Let me see here. And this is just to say that I have a problem, not to brag. 1,663.
Games.
Yeah.
How many of those games have you played?
About 1,000.
Wow.
Yeah, the problem I have, and that is something that I hate Steam for that so much. All the progress I made in some games is just gone because I have an account from when Steam started. They didn't have achievements. They didn't have how many hours have you played this. They did not have any of those trackers. And now it's like, but you never played this game. I finished this game on Steam when it came out. How can I show you guys? I mean, it feels so bad. Feels like, that never happened. It's all in my mind now.
Yeah, I remember Steam way back. It was a piece of shit. It was bad.
Yes, it was.
It was always crashing. It was such a pain in the ass. It never worked. And then I don't know what happened, but they started actually getting it together, and it is what it is now.
Yeah, I got it with my Half-Life 2 release.
Yeah.
Counter-Strike Source. At one point, I was around 380 top in the world players. And then a new season started, and they reset all the brackets, and I didn't know what a season was. So, like, click, all your progress, gone. Let's go again, boys. And I'm like, why? And I stopped being competitive since then. I was like, I don't need this in my life. This is too much stress. It's everything digital can. If you think about it, one EMP, everything is gone.
Yeah.
One solar flare, everything is gone. Except for my books, they're here in...
Depends on the solar flare. If it's a good enough.
If it's that bad, hopefully I'm gone too.
Yeah, right.
It'd be pretty devastating.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So before we wrap up, we're already coming up on almost 2 hours. But before we wrap up, what's everyone looking forward to reading next month? What's your most exciting, whether to read, watch, play, whatever it is?
Well, I will be starting Storm Fortress next month, so that's going to be cool. It's part of our read along and of the Wars and Lane Shadows. So that's what, book 8 now. So,
Jeez, I think so.
It's pretty exciting. Yeah, I'll be. I mentioned in Nexus. I mentioned by Harari. So I'm looking forward to getting fully into that. I love his stuff. If you don't know Yuval Noah Harari, this guy who wrote *Sapiens*, A Brief History of Humankind, and it's probably the best book of like a big picture history that you can get, because his style is very it's very kind to the reader to really explain stuff in a way that just makes so much sense. But and it's not convoluted, and it's not he doesn't bog you down with he has a storytelling style, basically. So
That is tough to do.
it's fun to read, but very informative. And Nexus is, like I said, the history of information. So I'm looking forward to it with all this talk of AI and all this stuff. So. So yeah, that's Storm Fortress, and all the other stuff we're doing. I look forward to everything we do here on Page Chewing, all the read-alongs and all the podcasts we do. We'll be finishing off the Penguin, and then we're going to go right into the Oscars project, where we're going to be looking at Oscar-winning movies from 1960 on up. And we'll be starting with The Apartment. Every couple of weeks we'll be doing that. So I'm looking forward to that as well.
I read about it. Oh,
and yeah, so it's never-ending fun here.
Yeah,
that is true.
It's true. But you, Josh, what are you looking forward to?
For me, it's going to be more like end of year things, like finishing the whole series from Susanna, because I really liked the first book, and I know I'm gonna like 2, 3, 4. It's just like getting over my addiction from Warhammer, trying to finish my Gotrek and Felix in the old world. So I think it's 1 omnibus, 2 to go. Yeah. But they're like 300 pages for each book, so it's gonna be fine. And then video game related, I started Space Marine 2 today. I knew I was going to love it. It's amazing. It's busting my balls though, because it's very there. It's a horde that comes at you, and if you get stuck, it's like one shot. The Tyranids, they flood you, and it's like, yep, done. Doesn't matter on which difficulty you're playing.
What's the name of it? Guardians?
What? No, Space Marine 2.
Oh, Space Marine.
So if you haven't played the first one, the first one is very good, and the second one just picks up the story many years later, 100 years later. You can play them individually, but it gives something. The first one, it gives something. I loved it. 10 years ago, I was like, I need this in my life. I have it twice. I have it on Xbox and I have it on PlayStation. It's just so good. And then nothing for 10 years, and now we are here. Space Marine 2, amazing. Thinking, is there another game that I was looking for? So many. And movies, I still have to watch Romulus. I still have to watch Deadpool 3. I still have to watch everything that is not on streaming or coming out on Blu-ray, DVD, because I can't go to the cinema anymore. There is one in the neighborhood. I don't know. I'm not feeling it anymore. Like theater stuff. I don't know. It's weird.
It's a pain with all the people and noise and.
Yeah, I think that's it. The crunchy noises. I'm sick and tired of it.
Drives me nuts.
And you can't punch people. You can't just. I mean.
Well, you can, but it's not a good idea. Yeah. Yes, I think other than the stuff Jared mentioned, when you go down the line, it's like we have a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
But looking forward to getting to the Oscars project, and we're watching Alien Romulus. We're We're starting Malazan. We are getting close to the end of Wars of Light and Shadow. American Psycho. I've been a stand for classics, and also what else are we doing? What else are we doing? Yeah, lots of stuff going on. Lots and lots of stuff. Finishing the Penguin. Yeah, it never ends. Lots of stuff.
And that's good. That is good.
Keeps us busy and out of trouble, at least hopefully.
What do you mean?
Yeah. Well, cool. Thanks for hanging out, guy. I know it's kind of we don't know what we're gonna do. We're just gonna hang out, kind of thing. So thanks for coming and hanging out. It's always a pleasure. It's a great way to spend a Friday night or any night, really. But
Friday morning. I mean,
Friday morning,
3 a.m. in Sweden.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll let you get to bed. But thanks again, and thanks to everyone for listening. If you'd like to join us, check out Page Doing, join our forums, and come and say hello. We have a small but tightly knit group we just like to hang out and talk about books and comics and movies and video games and all kinds of random stuff. So come and say hello. So until next time, we will talk to everyone very soon.